The warning. In the vastness of space, a shimmering blue planet orbited a bright yellow star. Earth, a world full of life, was unaware of the impending danger lurking in the shadows of the cosmos. The alien fleet, known as the Krillians, had detected unusual energy readings coming from the vicinity of Earth. High above the planet, the Krillian command ship floated silently, its sleek design glinting in the light of distant stars. Inside the command ship, the atmosphere was tense. The walls buzzed with holographic displays, projecting data and images of the energy spikes that had drawn their attention. Commander Zorak, a tall figure with a slender frame and sharp features, stood at the helm. His skin shimmered like polished silver, and his bright, luminous eyes scanned the data streaming in front of him. "Commander, the energy readings are increasing," said Lieutenant Fira, a young Krillian with bright green eyes. She was one of the best analysts in the fleet. "It appears to be some sort of massive object moving toward us. We need to investigate." Zorak narrowed his eyes. "What kind of object?" he asked, his voice calm yet firm. The tension in the room was palpable. The Krillians were known for their advanced technology, but they had never encountered anything quite like this. "We cannot determine the exact nature of the object," Fira replied, tapping her fingers on the console. "But its energy output is far beyond anything we've seen before. It could be a weapon, or perhaps even a ship. We must proceed with caution." As she spoke, the holographic display shifted to show a cluster of bright lights surrounding the dark outline of the object. The Krillians had encountered many worlds, but Earth was a mystery. They had heard rumors about the planet's inhabitants, tales of their strange behaviors and intense emotions. Zorak turned to his second-in-command, a rugged Krillian named Korth. "What are your thoughts, Korth?" he asked, seeking counsel. Korth was known for his bravery, but also for his caution. He had survived countless battles, and his experience was invaluable. "We should not underestimate them," Korth replied. "If this object is indeed a threat, we must be ready. I suggest we prepare our weapons and alert the fleet." The command room erupted into chatter as the crew scrambled to follow Korth's orders. Lights flashed, and the ship hummed to life as systems powered up. Zorak watched with a mixture of concern and anticipation. He felt the weight of leadership on his shoulders. If this object was a danger, it was his responsibility to protect his people. Meanwhile, on Earth, scientists and military leaders were oblivious to the unfolding situation in space. In a high-tech control room, a group of experts monitored various signals coming from space. Dr. Maria Chen, a leading astrophysicist, pointed at the screen displaying a strange energy pattern. "What is that?" she asked, her brow furrowing in confusion. "We've never seen readings like this before." General Harris, the head of Earth's military, leaned closer to the screen. Could it be a natural phenomenon, or perhaps a malfunction in the satellites? Dr. Chen shook her head. "No, it's too structured for that. It looks intentional. We need to investigate immediately." General Harris agreed, his expression grave. "Prepare a satellite probe to gather more information. We cannot afford to ignore this." Back in the Krillian command ship, the crew monitored the situation closely. The object's energy readings continued to rise, sparking further concern among the crew. Fira turned to Zorak, her voice trembling slightly. "Commander, I recommend we send a reconnaissance team to gather more data. We need to know what we are dealing with." Zorak nodded, understanding the urgency. "Prepare a scout ship. We will send a team to investigate, but we must remain hidden. We cannot let them know we are here yet." As the scout ship prepared for launch, the Krillians felt a mixture of excitement and fear. They had faced many challenges in their travels, but this was different. Earth was unlike any other planet they had encountered, and the mysterious object now approaching them had the potential to change everything. The scout ship, a sleek and agile vessel, was equipped with the latest technology. It launched silently from the command ship, cloaked in a field of invisibility. As it sped toward Earth, the crew on board was filled with anticipation. Back on Earth, Dr. Chen and her team were busy analyzing the incoming data. The readings were puzzling and seemed to indicate a significant energy source. "This is unlike anything we've ever seen," she said, her voice a mix of excitement and anxiety. "We need to alert the government. This could be a threat to our planet." General Harris agreed. "Prepare a briefing for the president. We need to be ready for any potential danger." As the scout ship approached Earth, the tension mounted for both the Krillians and the humans. The fate of both worlds hung in the balance, and neither side understood the true nature of the threat that lay ahead. The Krillian fleet hovered in the shadows, waiting and watching. What they thought would be a simple investigation was about to turn into something far more complex. With the looming unknown, both the Krillians and the humans would soon realize that the universe was full of surprises, and their destinies were intertwined in ways they could never have imagined. The first encounter. The scout ship glided silently through the vastness of space, its sleek design making it nearly invisible to the naked eye. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Commander Talon, a seasoned Krillian officer, led the mission. He was tall and strong, with silver skin and piercing blue eyes that seemed to absorb every detail around him. "Prepare the sensors for maximum output," he ordered, his voice steady. The crew scrambled to comply, adjusting the controls and monitoring the readings. They were nearing Earth, and the energy signatures they had detected were becoming more distinct. As the scout ship approached the planet, Talon gazed out the viewport. The blue and green orb below sparkled with life, its vast oceans reflecting the light of the distant sun. It was beautiful, but it also held unknown dangers. "We must remain cautious," he reminded his crew. "We do not know what awaits us." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Maria Chen and her team were analyzing the incoming signals more closely. The data they were receiving was becoming increasingly erratic, indicating something unusual was happening in orbit. "These energy spikes are becoming more frequent," she said, frowning at the screen. "We need to investigate further. We might not have much time." General Harris, who had been observing the screen beside her, crossed his arms. "What do you propose? We can't just send a team into space without knowing what we're dealing with." Dr. Chen thought for a moment. "What if we deploy a series of drones to scan the area? We can get real-time data without risking human lives." "Good idea," Harris replied, nodding. "Prepare the drones for launch." Back in the scout ship, Talon's crew received a warning signal. The sensors had detected multiple incoming objects. "Commander, we have company," shouted Ensign Lyra, her eyes wide with surprise. "Drones are approaching us fast." "Activate stealth mode," Talon commanded, and the ship's systems engaged, rendering them invisible to the approaching drones. He felt a wave of tension wash over him. This was the first real contact they had encountered, and the situation was escalating quickly. As the drones flew past, Talon instructed his crew to take a closer look. "Analyze the drones. What are their capabilities?" The crew worked feverishly, gathering data on the human-made machines. "They're equipped with advanced scanning technology," Lieutenant Kor replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "They appear to be gathering data on our ship." Talon nodded, a sense of determination rising within him. "If they're scanning us, we need to make a decision. Do we reveal ourselves, or do we retreat?" Back on Earth, Dr. Chen monitored the drone's feeds. "These readings are incredible. Whatever that ship is, it has advanced technology far beyond our own." General Harris stared at the screen, concern etched across his face. "If they can evade our drones so easily, then we need to proceed with caution. We don't know if they're hostile." Dr. Chen's expression turned serious. "What if they're just as curious about us as we are about them? We could establish contact and learn more." Harris considered this, weighing the risks. "You may be right, but we have to prepare for the worst. If we decide to make contact, I want the military on standby." Back in space, Talon and his crew faced a crucial decision. As they watched the drones fly away, Talon felt the weight of leadership pressing down on him. Let's not retreat. We need to find out what we are up against. Prepare to follow the drones back to Earth. The scout ship maneuvered stealthily behind the drones, keeping its distance as they descended toward the planet. Talon's heart raced with anticipation. This was a bold move, and they had to ensure their safety. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, the crew was mesmerized by the beauty of the planet. Oceans sparkled like diamonds, and the vast forests stretched endlessly. They were witnessing a world full of life, and for a moment, they felt a sense of wonder. However, their awe was short-lived. The drones suddenly turned, and their sensors blared with alarms. "Commander, they're changing course. It looks like they're headed back to a military base," Ensign Lyra exclaimed. Talon's eyes narrowed. "They must have detected us. We need to retreat immediately." But as they turned, their ship shook violently. A blast echoed through the cockpit as one of the drones had fired a warning shot. "They're firing at us," Kor shouted, his voice filled with panic. "Stealth mode, now," Talon ordered, pressing buttons furiously. The ship's cloaking system engaged, but the drone continued to pursue them. "We can't outrun them," Lyra said, her hands trembling on the controls. Realizing they had no choice, Talon steeled himself. "Prepare to engage the cloaking device and power down all non-essential systems. We'll play dead until they pass." As they powered down, the scout ship became a mere shadow against the vastness of space. Talon's heart raced as he hoped the drones would lose their target. They sat in silence, the tension thick in the air. On Earth, Dr. Chen and General Harris watched as the drones reported back to their command center. "The drones lost contact," Dr. Chen said, bewildered. "But that ship is still out there. We need to track it down." "Prepare to deploy a search team," Harris commanded. "We need to find out what we're dealing with before it's too late." As the crew held their breath, the drones scanned the area, unaware that they were hiding just out of sight. The first encounter had set the stage for a confrontation that neither side could anticipate. Both humans, and were on the brink of discovering a truth that would change their worlds forever. The tension between the two species was rising, and the question lingered in the air. Who would be the first to uncover the other's secrets? With their destinies intertwined, the stage was set for an unprecedented clash of curiosity and fear, and neither side was ready for the truth that lay. The hidden intentions. The scout ship hovered in silence, cloaked from sight. Talon and his crew were tense as they monitored the drones circling the area. The moment felt crucial, a turning point that would define their future interactions with the humans on Earth. "Status report." Talon barked, breaking the silence. The crew quickly relayed their observations. The drones appeared to be scanning the surrounding space, likely looking for any sign of the vessel. Talon knew they had to act soon. "Commander, we cannot stay hidden forever," Lyra said, her voice low but steady. "What if they decide to send in more ships?" "We need to learn about these humans," Talon replied, his mind racing. "They may be more powerful than we anticipated. We can't afford to underestimate them." Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Maria Chen and General Harris were busy analyzing the data from the drones. The military base was buzzing with activity as scientists and soldiers alike worked to understand the threat they faced. Dr. Chen stood in front of a large screen filled with images of the scout ship's readings, trying to decipher the advanced technology they had encountered. "These energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen before," Dr. Chen said, a hint of excitement in her voice. "This technology could hold the key to advancing our own capabilities." General Harris, crossing his arms, looked skeptical. "We need to focus on the danger first. We have no idea what their intentions are. We should be preparing for a potential attack." "But what if they're not hostile?" Dr. Chen countered. "What if we can learn from them instead? Communication could be our best option." Harris considered her words, feeling the weight of the decision they had to make. "All right, let's set up a communication protocol. We need to reach out and see if we can make contact. But I want military support ready to respond at a moment's notice." Back in the scout ship, Talon gathered his crew for a critical discussion. "We need to devise a plan to reveal ourselves to these humans. We cannot hide forever. But how do we do this without appearing aggressive?" "We could mimic their communication signals," suggested, his eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. "If we can understand their language, we might be able to send a peaceful message." "An excellent idea," Talon agreed, feeling a spark of hope. "Lyra, start analyzing the data we collected from the drones. Work on creating a communication signal that matches their technology." As the crew members worked diligently, Talon couldn't shake the feeling of unease. What if the humans reacted with hostility? What if they were not as peaceful as he hoped? The uncertainty weighed heavily on him, but he knew they had to take a chance. As night fell on Earth, Dr. Chen and her team prepared for their first attempt at communication. The tension in the command center was palpable. Everyone felt the gravity of this moment. "All right, let's initiate contact," Dr. Chen said. Her voice steadied despite the butterflies in her stomach. The screen flickered to life as they sent out a carefully crafted signal, mimicking the readings they had obtained from the drones. "This is Dr. Maria Chen from Earth. We are reaching out to any ships in the vicinity. Please respond." Back in the scout ship, Talon's crew detected the incoming signal. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. "We received a message," Lyra shouted, her fingers dancing over the controls. "It's a human signal." "Let's analyze it," Talon ordered, heart racing. They quickly decoded the message, and eyes widened. "They are trying to communicate. It appears they want to establish contact." "Prepare a response," Talon commanded, feeling a rush of excitement mixed with fear. "But let's make sure it's clear we mean no harm." The crew worked quickly, crafting a response that was both reassuring and respectful. Talon took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "This is Commander Talon of the scout ship. We come in peace and wish to communicate." As they sent the message, Talon felt a strange mix of hope and dread. Would the humans understand? Would they accept their offer of dialogue? Or would they see it as a threat? On Earth, the command center erupted with excitement. They responded. Dr. Chen exclaimed, her heart pounding. "We need to decipher their message quickly." General Harris leaned in, trying to absorb everything happening around him. "Make sure we're ready for any response. We can't let our guard down." As they translated the message, a sense of optimism began to take hold. It was clear they were genuinely seeking contact, and the potential for collaboration hung in the air. Dr. Chen smiled as she read the translation. "They said they come in peace. This is incredible." Harris nodded, feeling a sense of relief. "Let's keep the lines of communication open, but remain cautious. We can't let our excitement blind us to the risks." Meanwhile, Talon watched as their message was acknowledged on the display. His crew cheered, relief flooding the room. "We've done it," he said, his voice steady. "Now we must ensure that we remain true to our intentions. The future of our two worlds may depend on this moment." As the two sides began to communicate, the barriers of fear and misunderstanding started to crumble. The possibilities of collaboration, exploration, and shared knowledge loomed ahead, but both sides were aware that this was only the beginning. They stood on the brink of a new chapter in their histories, and every decision they made from this point onward would shape their destinies. The tension had shifted, giving way to the promise of discovery, but the hidden intentions of both species still lingered in the shadows, waiting to reveal themselves. What would the future hold for the humans, and as they began this unprecedented? As the Krillian scout ship hovered silently in the vastness of space, Talon and his crew prepared for the next phase of their mission. They had successfully made contact with the humans, and now it was time to solidify this fragile alliance. However, anticipation mingled with uncertainty among the crew. They were about to engage with a species they had long regarded as unpredictable and potentially dangerous. On Earth, Dr. Maria Chen was equally anxious. After receiving the Krillian response, she had been working tirelessly with her team to devise a plan for the first official encounter. They had decided to send a small fleet of ships equipped with advanced communication technology, ensuring that they would be able to communicate effectively with the Krillians. "Are we ready?" Dr. Chen asked, looking around the command center. The atmosphere was charged with excitement. Scientists, military personnel, and engineers were all focused on the task at hand. General Harris stood beside her, arms crossed and brow furrowed. "Yes, but we need to be cautious. We don't know what we're walking into," Harris replied, his voice firm. "Let's keep our ships at a safe distance and establish communication before getting too close." As the human fleet launched into the cold void of space, Talon watched from the ship. He felt a mix of hope and trepidation as the small fleet approached. This was a historic moment, and he understood that the fate of both their species rested on their ability to communicate and collaborate. "Commander, the human ships are within range," Lyra announced, her fingers dancing over the controls. "Shall we initiate communication?" After hours of discussion, Dr. Chen and Talon agreed to form a collaborative council, a new body that would oversee their shared goals and ensure open communication. As they finalized the details, both leaders felt a spark of hope for the future. As Dr. Chen prepared to leave the Krillian ship, she turned to Talon, a smile on her face. "Today marks a new beginning for both our worlds. Let's work together to make this partnership flourish." Talon nodded, feeling a sense of pride. "Indeed, Dr. Chen. Together, we can achieve great things." As the two ships parted ways, Talon gazed at the Earth ship retreating into the distance. A sense of determination filled him. They had taken the first steps toward understanding each other, but the road ahead would be long and challenging. Yet, with hope in their hearts and a shared vision for the future, both species were ready to face whatever lay ahead. Shadows of doubt. As the weeks passed, the excitement of the first meeting began to fade, replaced by the complexities of forging a new alliance. The collaborative council between the humans and the Krillians was established, but tensions simmered beneath the surface. While Dr. Chen and Commander Talon worked diligently to promote cooperation, not everyone was as enthusiastic about the partnership. On Earth, a faction of military leaders and politicians expressed their skepticism about the Krillians. They believed that engaging with an alien race, no matter how friendly they seemed, was a dangerous gamble. General Harris often found himself at the center of these discussions, torn between his duty to protect Earth and his belief in the potential of this new alliance. "General, you must understand the risks we are taking," argued Admiral Wright, a high-ranking officer who had served in numerous interstellar conflicts. "They may appear friendly, but we cannot ignore their history. They could be using us as pawns in a larger game." "I understand your concerns, Admiral," Harris replied, his voice steady but firm. "But we've already seen what can be achieved when we work together. Dr. Chen is committed to this partnership, and so am I. We cannot allow fear to dictate our actions." Meanwhile, aboard the ship, Talon faced similar doubts. While many of his crew members were excited about the potential for knowledge exchange and collaboration, a small group voiced their apprehension. They were wary of humans, believing them to be unpredictable and aggressive. "Commander, we cannot ignore the stories we've heard," Lyra, his chief strategist, insisted during a council meeting. "Humans have a history of conflict. What if this alliance is merely a trap? They could be planning to take advantage of our technology." Talon nodded, recognizing the tension within his crew. "I understand your concerns, Lyra, but we must not judge the entirety of a species based on past conflicts. We have to give them a chance to prove themselves." As the council continued to meet, both sides began to share knowledge and resources. Humans introduced to Earth's scientific advancements, while they shared their impressive technology, which was far more advanced than anything humans had encountered before. However, the underlying skepticism remained. During one meeting, Dr. Chen presented a project aimed at developing a joint research facility on a neutral planet. This facility will allow us to work together on scientific advancements that can benefit both our species, she proposed, her enthusiasm shining through. Imagine what we could accomplish. Talon smiled, sensing the potential in her words. I believe this facility could be a beacon of hope and collaboration. It will allow us to showcase the strength of our alliance. Yet, as they moved forward with the plans, whispers of dissent grew louder. Reports of anti-protests emerged on Earth, fueled by fear and misinformation. Social media buzzed with conspiracy theories and warnings, creating an atmosphere of suspicion and anxiety. Back on the ship, Talon learned of the unrest on Earth through intelligence reports. He frowned as he read the accounts of protests and demonstrations against their presence. This cannot continue, he said during a meeting with his advisors. If we do not address this issue, our alliance will be at risk. Lyra nodded in agreement. We must take action to quell these fears. Perhaps a demonstration of our intentions could help build trust. Agreed, Talon replied, his mind racing. We could invite key representatives from Earth to visit our home planet. Seeing our society firsthand may help them understand who we are. The plan was set into motion, and invitations were extended to select human leaders and scientists. Dr. Chen was thrilled at the opportunity, believing that witnessing the Krillian way of life would dispel misconceptions. She worked tirelessly to gather a diverse group of representatives who could speak for Earth's various interests. The crisis unfolds. As the human delegation continued to explore the wonders of a sense of camaraderie began to blossom. Dr. Chen and Talon worked side by side, leading discussions and forging connections between their people. Together, they explored the lush gardens and vibrant cities, filled with marvels that challenged their understanding of technology and culture. However, the atmosphere was not as serene back on Earth. The anti-Krillian protests intensified, with crowds growing larger and more vocal. The media sensationalized stories about potential dangers posed by their alien visitors, and conspiracy theories flourished. General Harris watched with growing concern, feeling the pressure mount from the public and the military. We must take action, Admiral Wright insisted during a heated meeting. If we don't protect our planet, we could be inviting disaster. We can't let them manipulate us. Harris rubbed his temples, weary from the strain of leadership. We need to understand the better, Admiral. It's essential that we don't act out of fear. We're trying to build an alliance here. But at what cost? Their technology is advanced, and we have no idea what they're capable of. Wright shot back. We need to take precautions. A show of strength may be necessary. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen noticed a shift in the atmosphere during their visit. Some Krillian citizens seemed apprehensive about the humans, casting wary glances and whispering among themselves. She could sense that Talon was also aware of the growing unease. In a private conversation, Talon voiced his worries. Maria, I feel the doubt among my people. They question whether this alliance is truly beneficial. They fear that the humans are hiding their true intentions. Dr. Chen nodded, concern etched on her face. I understand, but we have to show them that we are not the enemy. Perhaps we should organize a public demonstration, showcasing our collaboration. It could help quell the doubts. Talon considered her suggestion, his brow furrowed. That could work, but we need to ensure that the demonstration highlights our shared strengths. It must show the potential of our partnership. As they brainstormed ideas, Talon recalled a cultural festival that celebrated unity between species. We could host a festival that showcases our technology and art. Let the citizens experience our cultures firsthand. This could be the moment that shifts public perception. Excitement ignited within Dr. Chen. That's a fantastic idea. It will allow the people to connect on a personal level, fostering understanding. Together, they organized the event, inviting citizens from all corners of the planet. The festival would feature exhibitions, performances, and interactive experiences, highlighting both cultures. However, in the shadows, a different story unfolded. As the festival approached, the anti-movement gained momentum on Earth. Influential figures began to rally their followers, using fear tactics to incite anger against the alien alliance. Videos surfaced online, showing edited clips that painted the as menacing figures bent on domination. The backlash was immediate. Critics accused him of endangering Earth by aligning with extraterrestrials. Social media exploded with posts calling for action against the further fueling the unrest. Harris felt trapped, the weight of leadership pressing down on him. Meanwhile, on the planet, the day of the festival dawned with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Talon and Dr. Chen stood before the gathered crowd, ready to welcome their citizens and the human delegation. As the opening ceremony began, the air buzzed with anticipation. Talon took a deep breath and addressed the crowd, his voice steady. "Welcome, friends and allies. Today, we celebrate the strength of our collaboration. Together, we can achieve greatness." The crowd erupted into applause, but a few faces remained skeptical. Dr. Chen took the stage next, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "This festival is a symbol of unity, a chance for us to learn from one another. Let us embrace this opportunity." As the festival unfolded, colorful banners adorned the streets, and performances dazzled the audience. Humans shared their cultures, showcasing music, art, and technology. Laughter filled the air as children of both species played games and forged friendships. "Admiral, we need to get everyone to safety," Talon called out, rushing toward him. Wright looked relieved to see Talon. "I'm glad you're here. We need to regroup and establish a plan to restore order. The last thing we want is for this incident to escalate." Just then, the comms crackled to life. "General Harris to all units. We have a situation developing at the festival. The protesters have turned violent. All available security personnel move to the festival location immediately." Talon felt a chill run down his spine. This was exactly what he had feared. The unrest on Earth had reached a boiling point, and now it was spilling over into their delicate alliance. "We need to show the Krillians that we're not all a threat," he said urgently. "I'll go to the front lines and talk to the protesters. Maybe we can defuse the situation before it escalates further." "Be careful, Talon," Dr. Chen urged, her eyes filled with worry. "These people are scared and angry. We need to approach this with caution." Talon nodded, determination in his heart. He stepped into the chaos, making his way toward the protesters. As he approached the throng, he could see the signs they held high, accusing the Krillians of deception and manipulation. The air was thick with tension and resentment. "Listen to me," Talon called, raising his hands to signify peace. "I am Talon, leader of the Krillian delegation. We are not your enemies. We are here to build a future together." The crowd momentarily fell silent, their angry faces turning to him. "You think we'll believe your lies?" one protester shouted, his voice laced with fury. "Your kind just wants to invade us." Talon took a deep breath, forcing himself to remain calm. "I understand your fears. We are different, yes. But together, we can create something amazing. The festival was meant to celebrate our partnership, not to bring harm. We need to work together to ensure a better future." But the words fell on deaf ears as someone from the crowd threw a rock, narrowly missing Talon. "Get out. We don't want you here." The anger surged again, and chaos erupted as more people joined in throwing things and shouting. Talon's heart sank, but he refused to back down. "I'm not here to fight," he shouted above the clamor. "But if we let anger control us, we will all lose. Please, let's talk. We can find a way to overcome this together." Just then, Dr. Chen stepped forward, joining Talon. "Please, let's focus on what unites us rather than what divides us. We're all scared, but fighting each other will only lead to more pain. We are here to help." Seeing their combined efforts, a few voices in the crowd began to soften, but the tension was still palpable. Some protesters began to argue among themselves, unsure whether to continue their assault or listen to the two leaders. "Listen, if you want to protect your world, then let's work together," Talon continued, sensing the shift in mood. We can create a future where both our species thrive. Violence is not the answer. As the crowd wavered, Talon could see Admiral Wright approaching with a group of military personnel behind him. He moved toward Talon and Dr. Chen, trying to convey authority and peace. Everyone, we understand your fears, but we must allow our leaders to speak. We will protect you. The crowd hesitated, the division between them starting to dissolve. Talon seized the opportunity. Let us share our cultures and understand each other. That is how we build trust. If you still feel threatened after, then we will address those concerns together. Slowly, a few individuals stepped forward, curious despite their anger. Talon knew they had a long way to go, but this moment could be a turning point. As night began to fall, the festival took on a different energy. The music played softly in the background, and the gathering became a space for dialogue rather than division. They established smaller circles where humans and Krillians could speak freely. Dr. Chen watched with hope as people began to share their stories. "This is what we wanted," she whispered to Talon, "to foster understanding." "Indeed," he replied, a faint smile breaking through the tension. "This is only the beginning." As the stars shone brightly above, both species began to understand that while they were different, they shared the same hopes and dreams. The road ahead would be challenging, but they were determined to walk it together, forging an alliance that could withstand any storm. And so the festival became a symbol not just of their differences, but of their unity. In that moment, the whispers of division began to fade, replaced by the promise of a brighter future for both Earth and the Krillian homeworld. Yet, amid the joy, whispers of dissent lingered. Groups of protesters gathered outside the festival grounds, holding signs with slogans warning against the alien alliance. Tensions simmered, and the potential for violence loomed. Back on Earth, General Harris received urgent reports about the protests. "General, the situation is escalating. We need to act now," his aide urged, panic evident in her voice. "Send in peacekeepers to control the crowds," he ordered, frustration rising. "We cannot let this escalate into violence. The last thing we need is for the situation to spiral out of control." As the day wore on, the festival continued, but the atmosphere grew heavy with uncertainty. Reports came in that a group of extremists had formed, determined to disrupt the event. They saw the Krillians as a threat and believed it was their duty to protect humanity from what they deemed an invasion. Just as the final performance began, chaos erupted. A loud explosion rocked the festival, sending shockwaves through the crowd. Panic ensued as people scrambled for safety, their joy replaced by fear. Talon and Dr. Chen rushed to the front of the stage, confusion and concern etched on their faces. "What just happened?" Talon asked, his voice rising above the chaos. "Stay calm," Dr. Chen shouted, trying to restore order. "We need to help everyone get to safety." As the crowd surged, Talon turned to Dr. Chen, determination in his eyes. "We must show them we are here to help. We cannot let fear dictate our actions." Together, they began to organize rescue efforts, urging the citizens to remain calm and assist one another. Talon used his authority to direct Krillian security forces, while Dr. Chen rallied the humans to help. In that moment of crisis, the foundation of trust they had built began to crack, revealing the fragility of their alliance. The festival that was meant to symbolize unity had been shattered by fear and misunderstanding. As they faced the unfolding chaos, both leaders understood that the road ahead would be challenging. With the world watching, would they find a way to rebuild the trust that had been so easily broken? The answers lay hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered as the forces of division threatened to consume them all. The reckoning. The aftermath of the explosion sent shockwaves through the festival grounds. Panic erupted as Krillian and human citizens rushed to escape the chaos. Dr. Chen and Talon worked tirelessly to restore order, directing people towards safety with urgency. In the midst of the turmoil, Talon's heart raced. He could see fear etched across the faces of his fellow Krillians. He knew that this incident could jeopardize the fragile alliance they were trying to build. "We need to establish a safe zone," he shouted over the din. "Everyone, move towards the northern gardens. It's clear there." Dr. Chen nodded, recognizing the urgency of the situation. "I'll gather the medical teams to assist anyone who's injured. We can't let fear take control." Together, they split up to fulfill their respective roles, determination propelling them forward. As they worked, Talon's mind raced. Who could have orchestrated such an attack? The anti-Krillian factions on Earth were gaining momentum. But this act of violence seemed too orchestrated, too targeted. He feared that their enemies were not merely protesters but radical elements seeking to sabotage their progress. Meanwhile, the scene unfolded like a nightmare. Medical teams hurried to assist the injured, while others used barriers to protect the citizens still in the festival area. Talon could hear cries of anguish mixed with the sounds of the emergency sirens. In the chaos, he caught sight of a familiar face. Admiral Wright, who had come to support the festival. The Admiral was trying to help a group of children who had been separated from their parents. "Admiral, we need to get everyone to safety," Talon called out, rushing toward him. Wright looked relieved to see Talon. "I'm glad you're here. We need to regroup and establish a plan to restore order. The last thing we want is for this incident to escalate." Just then, the comms crackled to life. "General Harris to all units. We have a situation developing at the festival. The protesters have turned violent. All available security personnel move to the festival location immediately." Talon felt a chill run down his spine. This was exactly what he had feared. The unrest on Earth had reached a boiling point, and now it was spilling over into their delicate alliance. "We need to show the Krillians that we're not all a threat," he said urgently. "I'll go to the front lines and talk to the protesters. Maybe we can defuse the situation before it escalates further." "Be careful, Talon," Dr. Chen urged, her eyes filled with worry. "These people are scared and angry. We need to approach this with caution." Talon nodded, determination in his heart. He stepped into the chaos, making his way toward the protesters. As he approached the throng, he could see the signs they held high, accusing the Krillians of deception and manipulation. The air was thick with tension and resentment. "Listen to me," Talon called, raising his hands to signify peace. "I am Talon, leader of the Krillian delegation. We are not your enemies. We are here to build a future together." The crowd momentarily fell silent, their angry faces turning to him. "You think we'll believe your lies?" one protester shouted, his voice laced with fury. "Your kind just wants to invade us." Talon took a deep breath, forcing himself to remain calm. "I understand your fears. We are different, yes. But together, we can create something amazing. The festival was meant to celebrate our partnership, not to bring harm. We need to work together to ensure a better future." But the words fell on deaf ears as someone from the crowd threw a rock, narrowly missing Talon. "Get out. We don't want you here." The anger surged again, and chaos erupted as more people joined in throwing things and shouting. Talon's heart sank, but he refused to back down. "I'm not here to fight," he shouted above the clamor. "But if we let anger control us, we will all lose. Please, let's talk. We can find a way to overcome this together." Just then, Dr. Chen stepped forward, joining Talon. "Please, let's focus on what unites us rather than what divides us. We're all scared, but fighting each other will only lead to more pain. We are here to help." Seeing their combined efforts, a few voices in the crowd began to soften, but the tension was still palpable. Some protesters began to argue among themselves, unsure whether to continue their assault or listen to the two leaders. "Listen, if you want to protect your world, then let's work together," Talon continued, sensing the shift in mood. "We can create a future where both our species thrive. Violence is not the answer." As the crowd wavered, Talon could see Admiral Wright approaching with a group of military personnel behind him. He moved toward Talon and Dr. Chen, trying to convey authority and peace. Everyone, we understand your fears, but we must allow our leaders to speak. We will protect you." The crowd hesitated, the division between them starting to dissolve. Talon seized the opportunity. "Let us share our cultures and understand each other. That is how we build trust. If you still feel threatened after, then we will address those concerns together." Slowly, a few individuals stepped forward, curious despite their anger. Talon knew they had a long way to go, but this moment could be a turning point. As night began to fall, the festival took on a different energy. The music played softly in the background, and the gathering became a space for dialogue rather than division. They established smaller circles where humans and Krillians could speak freely. Dr. Chen watched with hope as people began to share their stories. "This is what we wanted," she whispered to Talon, "to foster understanding." "Indeed," he replied, a faint smile breaking through the tension. "This is only the beginning." As the stars shone brightly above, both species began to understand that while they were different, they shared the same hopes and dreams. The road ahead would be challenging, but they were determined to walk it together, forging an alliance that could withstand any storm. And so the festival became a symbol not just of their differences, but of their unity. In that moment, the whispers of division began to fade, replaced by the promise of a brighter future for both Earth and the Krillian homeworld.